Hi YouTube, welcome back. It's been a minute. I've been all over the place, but I have the Season 1 tier list for Marvel Rivals. I've been playing the game a lot, like seriously. And by a lot, I mean I've been playing it on 3 different accounts. Don't ask why. I went there for certain research purposes with one tricking a couple of heroes here and there. But I would say that I've started to have a very good read on the meta. I didn't want to usually rush it like I always do in the first few days with a couple of scrims. I would say that I had a couple of bad reads, but now with the things settling down, I have a good read of where each character individually stands, and I will try to talk about, different starting points. So with that being said, let's not waste any time and get straight into the tier list. Starting us off is Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock is honestly not a bad support. He's got great duel ability, his ability to take 1v1s, apply pressure damage, etc. etc. Problem with Adam Warlock is, unironically, I can't believe I'm saying this, and this is my opinion, he probably has one of the weaker support ultimates in the game. To think a mass res that can even move around with him would be considered a little bit weak is, pretty like crazy. It's a very good defensive ultimate when you can get it off, but people still get, they still return with like mostly half their health, and you still have to heal them up. Not only that, but you can be contested, interrupted until the res goes off. So considering his ultimate and all the other defensive ultimates in the game, it's the one area where he's a little bit weak. That's not to say that he's ultra weak. He's All the supports are very good. I wouldn't say there's even a bad support this season. Probably Jeff, but he has his niche maps where he can definitely work. But Adam Warlock, great damage, great healing. I think his shift, the ability to divide damage across the board, I think that gets slept upon a lot. I feel like not enough teams, especially in ranked, utilize it to make like really big pushes. So whenever I get to play in a stack and we just utilize the shift, it almost just feels like a free team fight win because it feels like a budget defensive support ultimate, right? So very good character, A tier pick. I think you can easily one trick him to the high ranks without a problem. He's whenever I've had to play support, I've played a lot of Adam Warlock myself. So big Adam Warlock enjoyer myself, and honestly, I've been playing a lot of support this season. Can't lie, support's actually very damn fun, but that's also because they're very damn broken. So with that being said, moving on to Black Panther now, I'm not gonna lie, I'm really not a big fan of the Black Panther nerfs, and I do play this character a lot, and he is kind of bugged. Like he not bugged, but like he has a lot of bugs. One of the worst bugs that you can get on Black Panther is when you dash through a marked enemy and you don't get your dash resets. These are the worst bugs. It's one thing that they hit his survivability. It's another thing that they didn't really solve any of his bugs. And if you start getting those bugs where your momentum is shut down because you cannot, keep the dash going, you cannot keep the damage coming in. The worst part is that bug, when it goes off, it gets you killed. So very, very weird situation for Panther to be in. I don't think he's overly bad, but honestly, I don't even know if I put him in A tier anymore. The higher up you go with how strong supports are this season, especially since healing went up across the board, I don't know if it's fair to put Panther in A. Like, he is a very awkward one. Like, I would say if you're not running into bugs and you don't get given attention in the game, his potential is at least A tier. But like on general basis, he'll be like a very awkward B tier pick right now, where I do think he needs help. I think they were a little bit too much with the nerfs they gave him. I do think he needs that survivability. He is very mobile. Um, I don't know, like there's places where he can work and take over games for free and become server admin. I can't lie. But again, like when you have supports that are attentive, it's very not that difficult to shut him down. So I don't know. I might put Panther. If there was a tier between A and B, I'd maybe put him there. But I don't know. Again, like I said, with how strong healing, and not just healing, but AOE healing is this season, I don't know. I think it hurt Panther's potential a little bit. Like last season, I'd put him in A. This season, I'd put him in B. That doesn't mean he's bad. Actually, let's title these. So we'll call S like best heroes, like best, or actually let's just call them meta. We're calling S meta. We're gonna call A very good. We're gonna call B good. I guess they're good, like, or we can call A very strong. Good and C can be okay, have a niche, and then bad, have a niche but need buffs, right? Like these are the characters. I think this is a way we can start categorizing them. So moving on, Black Widow. All right, hot take. I don't think Black Widow is that bad. I do think she needs help. Okay, I don't think she's that bad. She has a place in the game where sometimes she can work as a very good anti-dive character, because a lot of people have finally discovered how her E is meant to work. So if you don't know how the E works, when Black Widow kicks a target away from her, you can immediately press her E again. She will grapple hook onto them to do a follow-up kick, and then a follow-up shot will basically insta-kill the target. So Black Widow, especially against all the flyers in the game, she's a very good hero. But I would say the problem with Widow is she's not such a hardcore generalist. She is very, very niche. Okay, and I think it's okay for her to be in that niche. I don't think we need to make her an ultra generalist, but I can't deny that I still think she needs buffs. And honestly, it doesn't necessarily have to be with the rifle. I would rather look at the rest of her kit, try to make her feel a little bit more fluid, try to make her feel a little bit stronger in that regard. So it doesn't feel like anytime you jump Widow, she's just a very easy free kill. So Widow, I think she's okay. She has a niche, but I wouldn't necessarily call her like ultra bad either. Yes, she kind of sucks against like really good supports. Like when you land one shot, and it's not a headshot, the other person, and even if it is a headshot and they don't die, they get healed very quickly. But you're specifically going to be playing her in specific anti-dive scenarios, and maybe every now and then you can try her on attack on the Yggdrasil, payload map, Yggdrasil or Asgard, or whatever you want to call it. So she has a place, but niche, right? That's all I can say for her. I still think she needs help. So I don't know if I want to put her in D tier or C tier, but honestly, I'm gonna put her in C tier because I have played her in some cases and I've won a couple of games with her, so I can't deny that, right? Like I do think she's okay. I don't think she's like ultra bad like people make her out to be. Because a lot of people just want her to become a generalist sniper like Hawkeye. I just don't think that's gonna be possible with her, sadly. Invisible Woman. Okay, number one. First of all, I'm gonna say Invisible Woman's meta. Okay, I know that's gonna hold on, let me scroll up a little bit. I know that might make people feel weird and everything, right? But this is my blistering hot take, and I will defend it with my life. I genuinely feel a lot of people don't understand how Invisible Woman is meant to play, and that truly holds back their potential to play the character. I did a basic beginner's guide on how to play Invisible Woman, and I highly recommend watching it because bubble dancing and trying to spam barrier uptime onto a teammate and around your teammates is so important, not only for her healing uptime, but also the way that she can, ruin different breakpoints. She also has very interesting interactions in the way that she can actually hard counter Wolverine. So those of you that don't know, she can drop her shift, like her little dome, and if Wolverine is hit by that dome while he's trying to kidnap a tank, he's just gonna like drop, like his animations won't go off, and then you and your team can basically finish them off. Not to mention that I think now I've not pulled this off yet, but I've heard that the barrier has unique interactions with Wolverine as well, and Wolverine is spoiler alert, a meta character, or one of, or maybe very strong to meta characters that I would definitely say that she, like, once people figure out more and more how to play her, she's so good, and she does such a fantastic job. Also, fantastic job, but she also does a very fantastic job of actually pocketing your flyers, like with Storm and Iron Man both being very strong in the game right now. Granted that they can still feel really weak, but she helps them hold an angle and also helps sustain them. Whereas some other supports might struggle to reach that line of sight. So I like Invisible Woman a lot. We've been playing her all the way up to GM plus, and I will say that I personally consider her to be meta. But it's one of those cases where it's not the plane, it's the pilot. Like the person playing Invisible Woman really has to understand how her kit is going to work in the following team fights. Moving on over to our next pick is Captain America, and even though he's been buffed up pretty damn well, I don't think I will say that Cap goes into good even. I think he has a niche. He's kind of like he's in such a weird spot. He has such a fun kit. He's really fun to play. He's great in quick play games and things like that. But in ranked, in proper settings where people are taking the game more seriously and trying harder, he just really struggles to compete. And I don't understand why the development team, or balance team, sorry, is trying to jiggle around the fact that he doesn't need the damage when realistically what he needs the help in the most is damage. He's struggling to really secure kills, to really apply any frontline pressure. He's great at baiting out resources and he works really well with Thor, but he needs to be able to stand on his own feet. So I think that's where Captain America needs help. Really not much else to say about him. I really enjoy playing him. So I really hope he gets some help in the damage department, especially like again, it's just an oversight that Captain America was so bad at getting kills before all the healing buffs came in, and now with support power creep going up, they just again forgot to look at it from this perspective that Captain America might suffer even more. So I think he's okay. I think he has a small niche where you can play him against like certain backlines that are a little bit on the side of doing lesser healing, but when you're playing against some of the more meta strategists, then it can be very, very difficult to play Captain America. Moving on over to the next character is Cloak and Dagger. I don't think Cloak and Dagger need the buffs that they got, but they are very powerful now. I put them in A or meta tier last time, but now they're definitely meta. Cloak is so strong now. Sorry, I should say Dagger, but Cloak is just as strong. But Dagger's new healing output is crazy, and her ultimate, obviously with Cloak, being able to put down 4 fields of pressure, being able to do even more stacked healing is absurd. I would argue probably Cloak and Dagger are number one. A lot of people also just sleep on like Cloak's Discord orb or Discord wall that he throws out. Not a lot of people even use it. You can have a tank that's dominating and ruining the game, and Cloak alone can shut down that tank with their Discord wall and the pressure that then follows. So Cloak and Dagger, extremely powerful support. I honestly like I said, most of the supports are in the meta tier. Like they're so good. So Cloak and Dagger, and again, like they're just so fun to play, so strong, so much agency over the game, so much impact over the game. Very very fun character, and they're an AOE healer. So AOE healing we all know from our histories in Overwatch, and even now with this game, very powerful. So Cloak and Dagger, great character, great utility. Really love playing as them. Same with Invisible Woman and Adam Warlock. Just they're just so like this is fun supports. You're gonna hear that a lot from me because I've been really enjoying strategist. I've been filling a lot this season rather than playing my main role, which is the DPS role. Anyways, moving on, we have Doctor Strange. Honestly, not much to say about Doctor Strange. They did give him a bit of a fall off. I was about to say fallout, but they did give him a little bit of a fall off nerf. It doesn't really do much to hurt his overall staying power in the meta. So I will say that very powerful character, still meta, one of the best tanks in the game, very fun to play as well. He's one of my go-to tanks, absolutely adore him. Also Liam O'Brien, amazing voice actor for Doctor Strange. Very fun, and I'm a big fan of Yasuo, so it's nice having Yasuo but magic in the game. Anyways, so Groot. Groot is very strong. If healing didn't get buffed, I'm actually so close to putting Groot in meta. I get like when you play against a very good Groot, this like he becomes meta, right? Like anybody that actually functionally understands how to play Groot can tear apart the triple support comps, can tear apart like solo tank gameplay. Like Groot becomes such a nightmare to deal with when you play when you have somebody playing him that knows what they're doing. A lot of Groot players don't know what they're doing, and I will still say this character's full potential has not been fully realized by the community just yet. We're all playing him at his skill floor, in my personal opinion. I'm sure there's like a couple of crackheads out there that have really figured out Groot and are probably like destroying games with him, and they probably get target banned. But Groot is very strong. If anything, I would actually like some nerfs to him, but we will see what the development team does or the bans team does going forward. Groot, very strong. Not gonna put him in anywhere below A. I think he's a very powerful tank. He has a lot of impact in the game. One of the best ultimates to set up for a team fight win. Other than Doctor Strange, so very good character. Moving on to Hawkeye, I think Hawkeye is still very strong. He definitely is a lot more inconsistent, and honestly, that's all I really have to say. He still can get those multi kills during team fights. He has to put himself in a little bit more risky positions, but if your supports are playing around you really well, I will say that when you're playing Clintar attack and your Invisible Woman can put a barrier up in front of you, and then she like barrier dances you and helps enable you, and you have a Mantis damage boosting you, oh my god, it is GG's, bro. Like I've been playing Hawkeye a lot in season 0 and now in season 1. Especially on the Clintar maps, you just need him for point 1 if you're not doing any Doctor Strange plays. And when I get that barrier up with Invisible Woman, I usually ask my strategist, like, give me barrier, give me damage boost, and watch the magic happen. Oh my goodness, I cannot be contested. Like, there's nothing the enemy team can do about it, and my tanks get to take space for free. I just walk in and delete them. So, Hawkeye, very strong, a little bit inconsistent, and again, because of the inconsistency, he's fallen off. I wouldn't necessarily call him meta, but I will definitely call him very strong. Move over to Hela. Honestly, pretty much the same thing. I think Hela's still very strong. I wouldn't necessarily categorize her as meta. Has one of the best ults in the game. Very high impact character. But if you're not landing those headshots now and relying on body shots, her body shots have gotten much weaker too. Usually it was like I think 3 or 4 body shots to get a kill. Now it's 4 to 5 body shots to get a kill. I think it's somewhere in that area for the breakpoints. So she's again like no, I wouldn't necessarily say meta, but definitely very strong, right? At least in my opinion. I think with how strong healing is right now, I don't think I will even have a DPS pick in meta. Like that's probably my hot take, right? Because meta, like you have to understand, meta means most effective tactic available. And I don't think there's any DPS in the game. Maybe I'm wrong, and once I go through the list, I'll find one. I don't think there's any DPS in the game right now that can be considered the most effective tactic available. I will say maybe there's 1 or 2 picks that can go up there. That could be argued that they're very good at their specific niche and can work as generalists. So we'll see when we get there, right? Next character is Hulk. I think Hulk is meta. I think Hulk People are starting to figure him out more. There's a lot of good like educational content for how to dominate games with Hulk. People were making the mistake with Hulk of just kind of playing him like a overgrown Reinhardt, but now people are reasoning actually you want to play him like a very very mobile Winston. And again, I know that I'm talking Overwatch language here, but this is the best way I can describe it. But basically, you want to leap in, force cooldowns, leap out, then leap in, like all fresh and powered up when with those long cooldowns from supports are down, and then start battering the shit out of them and winning. And he's one of the few dive tanks in the game that doesn't necessarily have a cooldown in his engage and disengage. So when you start getting the flow of him, Hulk can be such a monster. Not only that, he enables a more stronger Doctor Strange and the meta version of Iron Man. Hopefully, if the hit scans are banned. So I would definitely say Hulk, very powerful character in the right hands. And people are figuring him out. So I think it's very safe to put him in meta tier as well. Iron Fist. I think Iron Fist is okay. He has a niche. I wouldn't necessarily call him good, very strong or meta. I would like it if they could maybe reduce his block cooldown, because I would say that's like the only thing in his kit that's truly holding him back, and then maybe he can go to B tier. I would maybe like to see the block cooldown go to about 10 seconds instead of the 15 that it is right now. And I think that would be a great way to kind of help, Iron Fist's whole uptime, because his basic damage is really pathetic, and you need the empowered punches that he does. And the only way to trigger empowered punches is through using your block, and obviously your block also makes you very tanky. But if you are not tanky and you're relying on your remaining HP bar and hopefully a support to heal you, you still fall apart. Because the problem with Iron Fist is that because he like locks onto a target, he moves in very predictable patterns, which makes it very easy to take him out. So he has a niche. You can definitely make him work. I know Samito one-tricked him to basically, I think, top 500 or GM or Eternity. I think one of those. So it's not to say that, Iron Fist is not good, very strong on meta. But I will say that he has a niche. I think there's chances of you being shut down on him much more than any other character. And even like another flanker like Black Panther, he's a much safer pick, excuse me. Now, moving on to the next character, Iron Man. I think Iron Man is very strong. I think there's like, if you have the right bands and you get the bands going and you have Hulk plus Doctor Strange, Iron Man becomes easily the meta DPS of the game. By far, becomes the best DPS of the game. However, let's say the certain characters are not banned or there's triple support comps. Iron Man can still work really well, but he does lose a bit of power. You can lose momentum. It does take like maybe one good Hela or even one good Storm. I would say the Storm and Iron Man matchup can be a little bit skill dependent depending on where you're fighting and from who started the initiation. But it can be difficult. So I will definitely say Iron Man does feel the effects of the new meta, but I think rounding him off as an overall character, I'll put him in very strong. I wouldn't necessarily say meta or just good. I will say he's very strong, right? Because even against triple support comps, which are becoming much more popular, a lot of the supports don't necessarily have an answer to him. Probably the best answer to him is, Mantis. And if Mantis is giving you attention and trying to, look at you, she's not necessarily paying attention to the team fight below. Then when she pays attention to the fight below, you can get a nice, pressure on her and you go from there. So in my opinion, Iron Man, very strong. And, we're trying to consider, certain scenarios as well for the character where they can succeed, right? Jeff. Jeff. So in casual play, he's pretty good, right? In low elo, he's pretty good. But overall, I will say, like, high service of play, I barely see him. I know there's like one or two like warlords of Jeff that like understand how to make this character go crazy. I still think he's by far the weakest support in the game, and that's okay. This character is more of like an entry level character, and he's just a great like way to attract casual audiences to trying something fun and interesting. His ultimate is still very very good, and it does have niches. Like whenever we do play the Burn-In Falls, I think the Burn-In T'Challa, the Warrior Falls, I think that's what the map is called. You can play Jeff over there. There's certain like maps in the Yggdrasil map where you can lock in the Jeff for that ultimate play potential, but then you lose out in the neutral game and defensive ultimates, and right now defensive ultimates are just the name of the game. So maybe if the other supports start to get a little bit nerfed and defensive ultimates lose a little bit more power, maybe Jeff can move up to being a good character. But he's okay. He has a niche, right? I don't think he's bad. Loki, to me, he is very strong. I wouldn't put him in meta. And I think, like, this character has so much potential. And he's almost there to entering the meta. But, his ultimate, there's so many layers of complexity and depth as to what you can and cannot do that it literally just kind of comes down to the player. He doesn't really have any interesting, like, team ups that really help him help push him to the next level. But by himself as a support, he's very good. His damage is okay. He's a very great anti-dive support character as well, because when you put your lamps up, your runes, your magical runes, you can easily shut down any dive. So Loki, very fun character, but again, compared to the other supports, he kind of falls behind, right? Speaking of meta supports, Luna Snow. I don't think I need to explain this pick. She's still very strong. She's still completely fine. Has one of the best crowd controls in the game as well. Has the best ultimate in the game by far. It's not even up for debate. I think I can confidently say that Luna Snow has the best ultimate in the game. It is literally a team fight win for the team that does get the advantage with it. So Luna Snow, very powerful, very meta right now. As you can kind of see, we've got 3 supports in meta, right? And only 2 tanks. At least, again, these are in my opinion. And you can share your opinion down below. And we can always discuss these things. Moving over to Magic, I think Magic is good. Again, like in the previous season, I would put Magic in A, but I do think the AoE healing potential, it just hurts. It just hurts Magic a lot, right? And it's not just that, like, Invisible Woman's barrier, at least in my experience, I've run into, because I do play a bunch of Magic as well. Whenever I try to use my E engage into somebody and they have the Invisible Woman barrier, it shuts down your entire engage. Like, again, people are still learning to play Invisible Woman, but to the people that have figured out like how to counter certain characters with Invisible Woman, like Wolverine, like Magic, my goodness, it can really hurt your whole flow, and you can just feed on characters like Magic, right? So Magic, I think she's good. She works really well once like some of the supports are kind of like gone and a little bit out of the game. Like if you ban Luna, Mantis is really not that much of an issue, even though her sleep dart can be. But Luna's overall impact, and at least specifically for Magic, I would say Invisible Woman's impact is very good, especially when she drops the dome as well. And because Magic kind of wants to stay in one particular area, that can really force you into a specific angle, and that might actually just benefit the Invisible Woman and her team than it might Magic. So Magic, good. They did give her a buff, and that buff was really nice. But again, as long as AoE healing is very strong, then all the flankers are going to be a little bit on the weaker side. Again, in my opinion. So, moving on, Magneto, very solid tank in the meta. He can do a lot of things. He's one of the few tanks who can counter Cloak and Dagger's ultimate. So when Cloak and Dagger ult, you Magneto ult to soak up all that damage. Your Meteor becomes really big and strong and juicy, and then you slam it into Dagger's ass, and hopefully from there you win the team fight. And even if she survives with like 1 HP, then you start to panic and accept that you've lost the game, because there's very little counterplay against a lot of these support ultimates in the game right now. Magneto, very good. Regardless of my little jokes here and there, Magneto overall very strong tank, very solid, very good. I don't think I need to explain Magneto weight that much. Mantis, pretty much the same thing. Again, immediately into the meta tier. Her nerf was so it was so easy to ignore. Although I again, and this is just a blistering hot take, I don't think Mantis is the cause for the meta. I think Mantis is just one of those characters that benefits from the meta. I actually really like Mantis's kit a lot more than the other kits in the game. But again, like the reason she's so strong is again defensive ultimate, like great damage output, great dual ability, great utility in the sleep dart or the sleep spore. Ability to damage boost like everybody on her team at a time and herself is pretty crazy. So Mantis, very strong, still in the meta, is going to be very good. But I will say she's a little bit more diveable since she lost her speed, and she's a lot easier to hit if you're playing like a hit scan-esque character and you're trying to trace her. Mr. Fantastic, I think he's okay. I think he has a niche. I don't think he's bad. I think we just need more time to figure him out. I won't say that I figured out Mr. Fantastic. I've put in a lot of hours on him. I will say so far the one niche that stands out to me is jump on isolated targets, force 1v1s, and win the 1v1s. He's probably the best 1v1er in the game. So far from Mr. Fantastic, the opinion can change by the mid-season. So far, I will say, to me, he's a C tier pick, right? Moving on over to Moon Knight. Now, this is one of the rare picks that I will say Moon Knight is S tier. Not only did his ultimate get so much more stronger, but your ult charges hyper fast, especially considering the fact that he's also very, very good into triple support, at least in my experience. I play him into triple support, and it goes really, really well. Obviously, the defensive ults are a big problem, but because you're farming your ults so quickly, you're one of the very few DPS that can actually put up a damn fight. At worst, Moon Knight goes down to about A, but in proper just like brawl like base comms, like if you're playing against brawl or pro comms, Moon Knight is so damn good. You do not want to play him against dive. You don't want to play him against characters that split up a lot, because Moon Knight, in my opinion, has the worst 1v1 capability in the game, and that alone drops him to D tier in my opinion. Outside of that, he's incredibly stupidly powerful. Not to mention his ultimate, like you can barely react to it before it like even drops onto you, unless you see the visual, because the sound timing and everything is so off. So Moon Knight, very strong DPS. I can comfortably put him in the meta tier. This is one of the few DPS that I will say, yeah, he's up there. Like, he definitely has that over the top impact, right? So yeah, and the next one is also Namor. I think Namor is slept upon a lot. The buffed up, synergy with Luna Snow has really thrown him up there to the power that he has. At worst, I'll put him in A tier, but like in this current specific season, I think he's actually meta tier. He was already very strong. He was already A tier before, but right now I will put him in the S tier. If you understand how to place his turrets, the octopuses or the squids or whatever you want to call it, he's so freaking stupid strong. And if you understand that his ultimate is basically a mini EMP, you shut down the enemy's abilities. If you can isolate the tanks, tell your tanks to push in, use your ult, and the tanks push in and your ult goes off, it's such a crazy team fight win. It's so easy to win team fights with him. He has great individual pressure. He's a great team fighter with his squids. When they go berserk, they do crazy amounts of damage. So Namor is, I made this tweet way back in beta, in alpha, and then I made it like, early season 0, where I was like, man, people are sleeping on Namor. But for me, Namur, however you want to say it, to me, he is meta tier. At least this is my opinion. You are more than welcome to disagree. But to me, Namur is so damn good. You can play him anywhere into anything. He's a little bit awkward into triple support. You can still make him work. But, I would still put him in the meta tier. Because again, like the game doesn't necessarily have, locked in compositions all the time. But against the most popular compositions, I think Namor can, still work. Even against triple support, I think Namor can still work. Moving on to Penny Parker, I will say that you guys were right and I was wrong. I didn't fully understand Penny Parker's true potential, but that was mostly because during early season 0, I was playing a lot of Iron Man, and anytime I saw Penny, I would destroy her mines. I would basically never let her set up. So to me, that was like, oh, this is very easy. It's very easy to counterplay this character. I don't understand why other people are not doing it. Well, that was also because, the games were a little bit of a mess. I didn't really run into any skill for Penny Parker players. And now Penny Parker for me also is one of the most fun characters to play in the game. There's so many interesting techs that you can do with her and interesting setups. I really love her. She's one of my favorite tanks to play. I love the 3-second CC she has. It is so stupidly broken. It's insane. Penny is definitely a big love of mine in this game. So, expect to see a Penny guide soon on this or the other Abby channel that we have. In case you're interested in the other Abby channel, it'll be down below. It's called AbbyAZK Coaching. Do check it out. We'll be doing more guides and things like that on that channel. Moving over to 𝐒𝐈𝐿𝐷. 𝐒𝐈𝐿𝐷 is also very strong or potentially meta. I think 𝐒𝐈𝐿𝐷 is very good. She does a great job of dealing with supports. Against triple support comps, she begins to really fall off, but against most other support comps, she's still a pretty damn good pick. I think I might take the risk here and put her in meta. She's just one of those, DPS that can really push that extra nail in the coffin and really hammer herself in there, right? So 𝐒𝐈𝐿𝐷 to me is like, yeah, meta. I think she's like one of the best, I think she's just one of the best DPS you can ever pick up. Like if you pick up 𝐒𝐈𝐿𝐷 and you just learn 𝐒𝐈𝐿𝐷, you can actually one-trick her as a DPS and you don't have to learn anything else, right? Punisher, I think Punisher's A tier. I feel like people sleep on Punisher a lot. He's really not that bad. He's very, very strong. And he has very good individual impact. He can actually, he's one of the very few characters that can break through defensive support ultimate. So, very good, but, big Punisher tip for all the Punisher players out there, use your shotgun. The shotgun is the true carry in his kit. His assault rifle is fine too, but when you're in that close range, especially against tanks, use that shotgun. So many Punisher players never use the shotgun and don't realize how he becomes literally a different character once you have that thing out. Rocket. Okay, Rocket, I will put him in good. I think Rocket is very strong, right? I think he's very strong, great AoE healing potential, really good ultimate. His ultimate's also very good. It's one of the counter options to triple support comps where your Rocket like charges up his damage boost field or whatever. And then you enable your team to just break through all the healing in the game and win. So he's very good. He's great survivability, but I think him not being able to be a good duelist does hurt his overall potential. So just for that reason, I will put him in the good tier. Again, not bad by any means. I just think he's good. He's not very strong. And that's my opinion on it. And here we go. Blistering hot takes time. I think Scarlet Witch is good. I know. A lot of people say that Scarlet Witch is weak and bad and all of this. but I might be one of the first, one of the few people, one of the first few people that kind of gets how this character works. And a lot of that has to do with her flight and where you're using it and why. And also, most importantly, how and where you use the E, her time stop little dome that she throws out. I have done some disgusting things with Scarlet Witch, even in high ranked games. Now, that doesn't mean it always works out, but in specific scenarios, it can work out. So, I might go as far as to say that Scarlet Witch may be C in general, but in specific niche scenarios, she's a different character, especially with how she's much stronger into Squishy is now. I will be the one to take the risk and say she's actually good. So we have to drop some hot takes here and there to keep things interesting. Spider-Man, I hate to say it, but Spidey's been hurt quite a bit. I don't think he's unusable and bad. I think he needs help. I'm going to be doing a video soon as to why Spider-Man needs buffs and where can these buffs go as our first Marvel Rivals, hero assessment like type video. So I will say Spider-Man is okay. He has a niche. In certain matches, he's very good. But again, just AoE healing really holds him back, and survivability for supports is up this season. So at the moment, I will put him in. He's okay. He's not on the level of these other characters, so I might just put him in good. I think he's good against really good supports. You're useless. You're very good into Storm as well, who we've not gotten to yet, but he's alright. He's fine. Squirrel Girl, actually very strong character. People are sleeping on her. I think she's so close to being meta. And again, if healing didn't get buffed this patch, I think Squirrel Girl is sitting at S tier, right? I genuinely believe Squirrel Girl is sitting at S tier. We have a very, very good guide coming out very soon on our channel, on this channel or the other one, where I will be doing a Squirrel Girl guide by one of the best Squirrel Girl players out there called AbbyAZK Queen. Be sure to have a look out for that video. For now, I'm going to drop Squirrel Girl in A tier. Great frontline pressure, great crowd control. Once you understand how to use the acorn throw effectively and using the refresh to basically make sure you have 0 cooldowns timer, man, she can be a monster, right? She's very strong at the skill floor and at the skill ceiling. So love Squirrel Girl, for many reasons, more than one. Happy to see that she's in a much better place now. Again, people are sleeping on her. Star-Lord, Sting Star-Lord is also very, very strong. The AoE healing potential does hurt his capability. He's also one of those characters where he's like one of the best 1v1ers in the game. But if there's the slightest amount of healing, you can feel really weak and pressured out. He is probably one of the best ults in the game as well. It's like, if there's no defensive ultimate, it's at least 2k. If you're not getting 2k with him, what are you doing? I wouldn't say he has what it takes to be meta like Namor, Psylocke, and Moon Knight, because I think his team-ups are particularly a little bit weak, because Namor becomes incredibly powerful with his team-up, right? That's kind of why I have him in meta. And Moon Knight, especially since we're seeing so much more Cloak and Dagger, he can go invisible. You can do some shenanigans if you know what you're doing. Psylocke is just very good in general. She's very consistent even when a target is being healed. And that's kind of what holds Star-Lord a little bit back. Just like an A, like an S minus. Like he's just like S minus. He's like in between A and S, right? Or maybe he's the top of A. Storm, meta by far. Okay, I lied. There's actually 4 DPS in meta in my opinion. But maybe I'd move Moon Knight down, because without Luna, Moon Knight can Namor can be A. So because I am thinking about team ups as well. I don't know. You know what? Now we're gonna keep Namor and ST. I'm gonna commit to it. Storm, she got insane buffs, right? She's gotten giga buffed to a completely different planet. She's very powerful. She pierces through different characters. She can charge her ult very quickly, and her ult has almost no counterplay. So she's just so good right now. I've been learning her. I have a guide for her coming up very soon on how to dominate with her at the highest ranks, lowest ranks, and any rank that you want. And don't sleep on my girl Storm. If you still think Storm is bad, learn the character. She's very strong. Thor is A. I think Thor has been impacted by the healing changes in the game a lot more than people want to give it credit for. I'm almost close to putting him in B tier, but honestly, when you're playing on the smaller maps, Thor's power can still come alive. He's still very good at just destroying front lines and back lines, and just an amazing duelist base tank. So I don't want to do him disservice. I think he's on Groot's level. He's just very good, very strong, but not necessarily meta, I would say, right? Because his kit is a bit clunky, which allows there to be rooms for counterplay. So Venom, I think Venom is also very strong, or maybe good. I don't think Venom's bad. I don't know if I want to put him in very strong though. He's still a very good dive tank. Maybe I'll put him at the bottom of A. I think he's okay. He's very good. Um, his survivability is insane now. He feels like a Captain America that can do damage if anything. So Venom, you know what? I'll be nice. Venom's one of my favorite characters as well. So very strong in my opinion. I don't think Venom can become meta unless they like hard buff his damage. They did buff his alt damage, so his alt feels much better to use. So Venom, very strong. I wouldn't necessarily put him in meta, but he's very good. Like he works in a lot of different situations. He doesn't necessarily like triple support. Then he probably drops to like a C tier. But he's fine. Like overall, Venom is fine. He's very strong. The survivability has really helped him. I don't think he needed it. But it's fine. Now with that being said, this brings us to the final two characters, which is Winter Soldier. Blistering hot take on Winter Soldier. I want to put him in meta, but he's so specifically anti-dive that's not to say you can't play him against Brawl and poke comps. It's just like when you're playing him against dive, he's so much more crazy strong, right? And then against the rest of the game, he's kind of very strong. So I don't know where to put Winter Soldier. I might just put him in A. Like he's very, very good, but there's just the downtime in certain parts of his kit can really hold him back. And finally, the last meta pick, the last S tier pick is Wolverine. And that concludes the tier list for today. Wolverine is an S because my goodness is he a monster at taking out tanks. And you can even just have a very good playstyle of kidnapping the enemy tank, throwing them into your backline, and then you and your team tearing that tank apart. Your tanks slowly begin to walk up, the enemy team feels the pressure, and you just dominate games. Wolverine, at least in a lot of our games, he's been one of the most target banned character ever. So Wolverine, very, very strong, very, very good. Anyways, everybody, that's going to be it for this video. What's your thoughts on the tier list? I think there are some characters that need buffs in here. I didn't put anybody in B tier. I don't think anybody is necessarily D tier. But they are in C tier and B tier, and we're going to be talking a lot about the B and C tier characters in the near future and how to help them. Now, we're going to be talking a lot about the B and C tier characters and how to help them. So with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.